Music is very active. Very active. I'm really excited about today. I don't know why. Just talking about One with Life, you know, when I'm arranging something, when I'm arranging a Sunday lesson for us, I learn a lot. And it gives me all these aha moments, you know, as I think about it throughout the week. So our talk today is One with Life. And, you know, when you think of One with Life, you know, you might think of like, oh yeah, peace, like, oh, everybody's one. I'm really zen today. But, you know, most people don't buy into this, being one with life, as you can see from what's going on in the world right now. Right, there's not a sense of interconnectedness. What's happening right now is us versus them. So we may think in spiritual circles that one with life is a good idea, but maybe we're not putting it into practice. But do you know that we have to experience one with life, being one with life, if we want this other thing in our lives? And this other thing is abundance. Now, many people may not be too keen on the idea of being one with everyone else right now, but probably pretty much most people care about abundance. Most people care about providing for their families. Most people care about keeping the lights on in their house. Right? Most people care about having deeply fulfilling relationships. Rumi says, the source is within you. And this whole world is springing up from it. The source is full and its waters are ever flowing. Do not grieve. Drink your fill. Don't think it will ever run dry. This endless ocean. That's what we are living in, an endless ocean of abundance. We have each of us been created for life. Life was not created for us. We are created for life, so that life with a capital L, source, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, so it can continue to expand its territory, so it can continue to experience itself through each and every one of us. We are created for life, to experience itself in expansion in this world. Since we were created for all of life, that means all of life can be called forth through us. That means we have everything is available to us. The power that creates worlds is working through us because we are created for that power that creates worlds. We weren't just dropped off on a planet somewhere, right? That power continues to work through us, and it works through us through our choices, through how we do what we do. If we're choosing from faith and love, or if we're choosing from fear and lack, we're creating experiences in our lives. Now, some of these experiences may not be good. They may not be pleasant. They may be struggle. They may be hard. But we're still creators all the same. Now, there's a negative conditioning around this idea of abundance. I remember when I was a little kid, I heard my thoughts on abundance came from my grandma. Because we came from a fundamentalist kind of religion, right? And so here were some thoughts that I learned when I was a kid. Money is the root of all evil. Like, just show of hands if you ever heard that one, right? Like, everybody's heard that one. Like, and then I was taught, usually because we would see somebody who appeared to be really wealthy, like somebody would be driving a nice car, they'd have a beautiful home. My grandma would say, well, he's probably a drug dealer. Right? Like my grandma, I guess she just thought all rich people were dealing drugs. I don't know. Now then, as I got older, and when I got into business for myself, when I became a massage therapist, and I was starting this new business, then what I was hearing were things like, money's not spiritual, right? And these are your God-given talents, and you shouldn't be charging for what you do. I'm like, you know, my husband spent thousands and thousands of dollars on my education, you know, and I needed to start making some of that money back, right? But see, there's another abundance issue. An abundance blocker is entitlement. The world owes me something. Well, life's hard for me right now, so I should just be able to have that for nothing. right? Or like I should get something for nothing. That's an abundance issue within us. The other thing I learned as I was starting my own business was that it's going to be really, really hard to make money because everybody else is out there trying to make money too, and they're going to take your clients. And sure enough, like as soon as I became a massage therapist, you could not walk down the street in Redlands where I worked and sneeze without sneezing on another massage therapist. I mean, like, because you didn't have to wear masks back then. But like seriously, every time I would be out, I would go somewhere and I would meet a new massage therapist. And how I saw that situation though was, they're here to take my money. They're here to get my clients, right? I didn't have the feeling of there being enough, right? There are too many massage therapists in town. I need to move somewhere where there are no massage therapists, so I can be the only one. Now, this reflects the belief that the source of all of our good is out there. And that's what I thought, right? As a budding massage therapist, I thought the source of all my good was out there because it was my clients who had the money, right? But see, the source of all of our good is actually within us. And the source of all of our good being within us, it guides us, like as we're living our life day to day. Where when I believed the source of all my good was out in the world, I behaved differently. I behaved more like a victim. I was jealous or I was envious, right? So that's not a very attractive quality when you want new clients, right? Being all victimized, okay? So our abundance comes from our heart. And you could say the definition of abundance is an overflowing fullness, having faith in more than enough. More than enough, because God is all things, and God is infinite. That means never ending, always expanding. Okay, so abundance is having faith in more than enough. Abundance is the consciousness of freedom, inner peace, wholeness, satisfaction, fulfillment, excitement, enthusiasm. Abundance is the consciousness where you feel like you're living something really important. You have a sense of your purpose in this world, and you feel like you're part of something bigger than just what's in your environment. There's a feeling of aliveness in your day as you just do your normal stuff. But because you're in this feeling of abundance, this feeling of oneness, everything feels more energized. When we are in the feeling of abundance, in the consciousness of abundance, this is where we receive the inspiration on what to do next. What's the next right thing for us to do? We get the ideas. We also experience synchronicities and signs and wonders, which are the universe's way of guiding us. Okay, here's where you go left, here's where you go right. Right? That's what the synchronicities do for us. So abundance is all about here. Right? Abundance is all about right here, what we're calling forth through us. So abundance is a consciousness. Now I know a couple of really wealthy people, and they are the poorest people that I know in consciousness. Because everywhere they look in their life, they see competition. And so they're constantly trying to figure out, well, how can I get more money? Maybe I need to fire one of my employees, or maybe I need to pay my employees a less than adequate wage. Okay, somebody without abundance consciousness, they may have a lot of money, but they are manipulating the system to get more money. Right? They're out of integrity to get more money. Because it's that feeling of restriction. They're not trusting what it is that works through them, for them, as them. So abundance is always related to our intuitive heart, feeling and knowing the truth that we are one with life. That we were created for life. And we were created for life to keep expanding itself through us, which means more abundance, more abundance. So abundance is the availability of whatever it is that we need to prosper us. Dennis Merritt Jones, who wrote this, he wrote a really good book called The 10 Rules of Abundance, and he says this: you don't have to earn abundance. you have to learn how to accept it, which is why keeping an open heart is imperative in the process of accessing the blessings and bounty of an abundant life. We don't have to earn abundance. We earn a living, right? We do our work in the world, we take action, and we keep doing new things. We're dedicated, we're committed, but we don't have to earn abundance because it's a state of consciousness that opens us to receive. Awareness of being one with all of life leads to prosperity, right? So abundance is the consciousness, our way of thinking, our way of choosing. Prosperity is the demonstration of abundance in our life. And so prosperity can be the money. It can be, a nice fat checking account. It can be successfulness in our businesses. It can be relationships that are fulfilling. It can be freedom and time to enjoy what's going on in our lives. It's the inner peace to still enjoy life even when there are crazy things happening in our world. Right? That's how abundance demonstrates itself in our lives. So feeling abundance causes prosperity. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Prosperity is in effect, and abundance caused it. Whoa, yes. Yeah, all this good I have in my life, abundance caused that to happen. Okay, so being one with all of life, this is the first thing that we want to do when we want to experience more abundance in our life, right? Being one with all of life, this is about the unity principles. God is all things, and that means me. Right? And that means my ideas, and that means how I'm inspired, okay, and being in faith and acting in courage. That's how we get into that consciousness of being one with all of life. It's how we're connecting to the source within us, right? It's how we're aligning with the source within us so that we can hear and then listen and act when we are given instruction. So abundance causes us to experience prosperity. Now, when we're looking out there for the source of our good, we're going to look for things we already believe in. We're going to look for things we already know we can do. So there won't be any stepping out of our comfort zone. There won't be any trying anything new. Looking out here for the source of our good is where we get that saying from Albert Einstein. When we keep doing the same thing but expecting different results. Right? That happened. Of course, he calls that insanity. He says that's the definition of insanity. But see, that also is what happens when we're looking out here for our good. We're looking for something out there. And then what happens is, as we're looking out there for something, for our good, what happens is then we're looking to specific things that we already know. So we're not dreaming bigger than we could be, right? We're thinking really small. And we're looking to things like, if I get this right job, if I get that job, then I can be happy. But then what if somebody else gets that job? I was like, then I'm ruined, right? Or what if I only could get that house, then I could be happy, right? If I only won the lottery, then I could be happy. But see, the source, if the source of our good is out there, we're always going to be seeking at it, always going to be seeking for it. So we're going to find ourselves stuck in competition because not everyone ever wins the lottery. If all of us who played the lottery all won the lottery, we would just get back what we paid, right? Like, is that the math? If you bought $10 of lottery tickets, you'd win $10 if every single person won the lottery.
No, the government takes half.
Oh. Right. Now, when we believe that we're separate from Taylor, when we believe that we are separate from our good, that here we stand and our good's out there somewhere our good's out there, and somebody may have it right now, but maybe we can do something to get it away from them. But this is called duality. This is duality. If we think we're right here and the source of our good is outside of us, well, what that means is we believe God is outside of us. We don't believe in God as the everywhere present source that it is. If we start seeing our good as something outside of us, that implies that we see God as the big sky daddy. God's a sky daddy who gave our something to somebody else. Right? So that's duality, and that's division. In duality, we feed fear. In duality, this is where people become terrified of what is different. This is where people start going into the mindset of us versus them. And in dualities, where we have to start making other people wrong so that we can be right. This is why people start bullying other people. This is why people get bullied. This is why hate crimes are committed, because of the idea of duality. I think it was Mother Teresa who said that every person that she saw in front of her, like the most, I think she might have said decrepit of humanity, like living on the streets in filth. She said that person was Jesus in one of his terrible disguises. If we really believed that about every person on the planet, we would never raise our hand to anybody. We would never want to harm another person. But duality is the root cause behind every single war. Duality is the reason that there's selfishness, that there's greed, that there's corruption, that there is dishonesty. It is being in duality, it is being in this divisiveness that drains us. It robs us of our vital life force energy. There's even an entire medical category around it. It's called psychoneuroimmunology, which studies how people, the mind-body connection, and so if people are really stressed out, if they are afraid, if they are like living under poverty conditions, it tanks their immune system. Being rageful and hateful and judgmental, getting caught up in all of the chaos that is around us, tanks our immune system, and it affects our beautiful beating hearts. When we are all just frustrated and judgmental and enraged about the things that are happening in our world, it is affecting our beautiful beating hearts. And it's going into the space of believing, being in the knowingness that we are one with all of life. This is what lifts us out of that. And it supports our immune system, right? And like, I know all of us in the last couple of years, like, there's never has been a time where we've all been so interested in supporting our immune system. And yet, at the same time, there are these things happening in our country and in the world that are causing us to tank our immune systems at the same time. Okay, so being one with life supports our health and well-being. We are actually physically designed to thrive in the feeling of knowing our oneness with all of life. Here's something Ralph Waldo Emerson said. Man was born to be rich or grow rich by the use of his faculties, his way of thinking, his consciousness, by the union of thought with nature. In unity speak, we might put that as we are born to be rich by the use of our consciousness. We get to choose. We get to choose. Our consciousness is at work all the time. Sometimes it's like we're acting unconsciously, like if we choose from fear. But we always have the choice. We always have the choice. If we're in duality, then we're in the consciousness of competing with other people for our good. And you know what's interesting is in this mindset of duality, where we're competing with other people, we believe in that competition. This used to play out in material things, right? That's where the phrase "keeping up with the Joneses" comes from, right? You move to the nice part of town, and you're the one with the new car, right? Got to have the most beautiful wife on the block, the family, like the most well-behaved kids that never get into trouble, right? That's what it used to mean. It's like, well, we're gonna show how we're better than everybody, and we have more stuff, we take more vacations, and well, we got a boat, well, we got a bigger boat, right? That's how it used to play out. But now this is playing out differently for us because of where we are and the expansion of humanity's consciousness and the evolution of consciousness that we are all going through. So no longer it's about stuff, it's about control, right? That's how we're showing is our duality, is having power over others. So I talk about this consciousness evolution a lot now because it's happening. But we're moving into the third epoch of consciousness, or of humanity's evolution of consciousness. And we're moving into a consciousness of wholeness, right? Capital H, a consciousness of wholeness. But we're moving out of a consciousness of power over others, seeking to control. Now, when there's a change in consciousness, there's always going to be a fight to hang on. Right? There's going to be a fight to keep it how it used to be. And we all know the feeling of this, because when the pandemic first hit, the first few weeks, we just wanted things to go back to the way they used to be. And like we were hanging on to that. We're just going to pretend everything was normal. Everything was going to be just fine. And now things are really, really different. And they're really different actually in a lot of good ways. But see, we have people hanging on for dear life to the old way of doing things. And these are the institutions that we are going to see crumbling over the next few years. Okay, especially around like politics, and even the institution of religion is crumbling, right? And they're just all, I don't know, we're doing so many things differently. So moving into the third epoch it's about power, but it's about empowering ourselves so we can empower others. Because it is only when every person on this planet feels empowered that we create a new earth. Okay, we cannot create a new earth. We cannot create heaven on earth while there is a struggle between two factions. Right? We're going to stay in struggle. So right now, of course, the good news is I believe we are in the storm before the calm. So the calm is coming. Right now, all of this chaos, it is about that last-ditch attempt to have power over others. That's what this chaos is about. But the thing is, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what is going on in the world, no matter what is happening out there that you don't like, each of us still get to choose how we are going to show up in our day. We get to choose if we're showing up in love and faith, and there is no one out there that can force us to not show up how we want to show up. Like if we want to show up with our loving, compassionate, understanding hearts, no one out there can make you do differently. Okay, so this is our choice. We always get to choose. Now I know, like sometimes, especially when there's something really wild going on, like right now, I'll hear people say, like, no, I'm not going to show up in love and faith. I'm going to burn everything to the ground, right? And that first reaction, you're kind of like, well, if you want to burn something to the ground, I mean, I saw that in Game of Thrones, right? So, all right. The thing is if choosing from love and faith, it doesn't mean we're giving anything a pass that's happening in our lives. We can choose from love and faith, and it doesn't mean that we decide, oh, well, I have to just tolerate everything out there, how it's going, because I just want to be a loving spiritual person. So, well, I love everybody. I just sound like love everywhere, right? That's not what choosing from light or from love means. It's not what choosing from faith means. Choosing from faith, choosing from love is what makes us a force for good. Like you want to be a force for good? That means you need solutions, right? You need to have brilliant ideas. You need to know how to show up in the world, which means showing up in faith and love. That's where we get the brilliant solutions, right? That's where we have like the way opened up before us. That's where we're calling forth the greater forces, right? You become you with no limits. Like who wants like you 3.0? Like say that, me 3.0. That's it, me 3.0, right? Because that's how we want to show up in this world. It's the me 3.0 that gets things done. It's the me 3.0 that expands her territory or his territory, right? Me 3.0. So we got a call to action now. So here's our affirmation. I am one with life. Let's say it. I am one with life. Because being one with life is what gives us a sense of purpose. Being one with life is what gets us remembering and having the awareness that we're part of something bigger than the chaos that is happening around us. Right? We feel aliveness in our day. We know the next right thing to do because we're getting the inspirations, we're getting the ideas, we're experiencing the synchronicities and the signs and the wonders. You are designed for this. You're designed to let life use you to expand through you, for you, as you. You're designed for this. And so if you find that you're judging or seeking revenge, that means your energy is contracting. You're not expanding your territory. When we get judgmental and hateful and rageful, we are contracting our life force. We're not expanding our territory. I invite you to consider this. I invite you to consider that when something feels really terrible, it's because you are not designed to live in that way. You're not designed to live in that consciousness. We don't want to be withdrawing from life, not now. We don't want to shut down that impulse of life to be creating through us. And if we find ourselves people hating or seeking revenge, and I have those experiences. Like I've seen some stuff on social media that is just like, oh my gosh. And then I find myself getting really mad and I want to set them straight. I'm like, how do you, I want to do a finger wag at that person, right? They had to have that as like one of the little things you can do. They probably do. Okay, but see, if we're doing that, we're going to find ourselves stuck in restriction. And the thing is when we are in restriction, we end up getting on autopilot. So we'll always want to wag our finger at someone. Always going to want to point our finger at someone and blame them. Because we just get into that cycle and it becomes our only option while we're unconscious. If we're unconscious, we're not going to think of a brighter, more beautiful solution, a beautiful option, which is coming from love and faith. Now, all the stuff out there is not going to get fixed by us adding to the chaos and the hate. It's just going to make it bigger. Just going to make it bigger. Our work right now on this planet as souls in a body, our work as an infinite being here to express the divine, our work is to notice our fear behaviors. And we notice our fear behaviors through how we feel. That's how we know, because it feels terrible. If we get into an us versus them kind of mindset, if we're feeling that competition, which used to be someone's going to get my stuff, but now a lot of us are feeling as someone's going to get my rights, right? That's how we're feeling it, right? Then we're not in the consciousness then that heals. And so we want to go back to the consciousness by reminding ourselves, God is all things, and that means me. God is all things, and all of this is happening within the sea of God, right? If it's in this substance, in the source where we live and we move and we have our being, and everything else is happening in here too. In this substance where we live and we move and we have our being, everything is happening in here, which means even something we don't like, when we come from a place of love and faith and we know there's more than enough, we just have total faith, there's more than enough, what happens is we start calling God forth through the things we don't like. And things start breaking apart because they're built on hate. We call forth love through all that, and it just breaks them apart. All of us, we are responsible for calling our good into our lives. We are responsible for expanding our territory. We are responsible for expanding our area of influence. Nobody else out there can expand our territory for us. Nobody can do that. Nobody can choose for us. We are responsible for that. That's on us. So we remind ourselves we are one with everything. We are one with everything. The devil cannot faze me. Right? That devil. The little devil sits right there, like in her red devil suit. She cannot faze me. Sometimes she shakes me up a little. But then there's the angel, right? Don't listen to her. She's in a bad mood. Okay? If God is all things, how can we be separate from our good? Right? God is all things. How can we be separate from our good? When we start thinking that mindset of competition, somebody's going to get my stuff, somebody's going to wreck my life, that's kind of implying, because it's a feeling of duality and we're seeing our good is out there, that implies that the universe is saying no to us right now and saying yes to someone else. Right? But see, the universe always says yes because we're calling it forth through us. It's in our own experience. The conflict that is happening, in fact, every time, I could just say, the chaos that's happening in life right now, and you could have played that 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year from now. The chaos that's happening right now is because of the absence of the feeling of being one with all of life. You can look back on any conflict, go into the history books, go on the internet, any conflict happened because of the absence of the feeling of being one with all of life. That's what happens when we're choosing from fear and hate. That creates that. So the universe always says yes. Experiencing the oneness of life, all that takes is for us to align with our inner being, our creator, to say yes to it. Right? Just say yes to it. To say yes to the power that creates worlds. Say yes in faith and love, in the feeling and in the knowingness of the truth of being one with all things. Because this is how we become a force for good, and this is how we create heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of God, walking around in a body, and everything you do, you are blessed. You're designed, remember, you're designed to do all this stuff, and everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. So it is. And we do